When Apple launched the MacBook Neo 3 months ago, the sun was shining, the grass was green, life was good, as Apple users were left unscathed by the horrors of the AI wars. In a lot of ways, we were like the hobbits of the Shire, only a lot more attractive, taller, and without the big furry feet, living peacefully in the world, ignorant to the horrors that Gondor faced as the Dark Lord Sauron raised a bunch of money and took out a bunch of loans to buy the world's supply of RAM to use in data centers, so our social media feeds could be flooded with AI comments and rather questionable fruit videos. But no longer. The RAM shortage crisis affecting the PC and console market has now come for Apple, which has caused them to raise prices across a bunch of their products, including the MacBook Neo, which went from a starting price of $600 to $700. And now the more expensive 512GB configuration is $800. And let's be honest, the Neo was reviewed so well because it was cheaper than we were expecting, and our reviews were based on that value. So, considering that, should you still buy the MacBook Neo at these higher price points, or really any MacBook right now? And is there possibly a way to get the Neo at its older price point? Or should you just not buy anything right now, save your money, and wait for better times? And it's hard to believe we are already halfway through 2026. And one of the things I'm planning this year is taking a trip to Japan in October, and Monarch Money has been helping me take control of my finances to plan that goal. Because Monarch Money lets me easily combine all of my different financial accounts, like my bank, credit cards, investments, that used to be separated into different apps, but now I can combine them into a single app with a simplified dashboard and a clean user interface. Now, instead of trying to manage 10 different finance apps to find out when my next credit card payment is, or how my investments are doing, or how much money is left in my bank account, well, I can just check Monarch and get all of these updates streamlined directly to me. Monarch then lets me plan for the future because I can set goals in the app and target big spending goals like putting aside money for that trip to Japan. And every small contribution helps. With Monarch, I was able to see some subscriptions I was no longer using, and then I could cancel them, and then I could start saving money from these monthly charges that were kind of just buried in my credit card statement, so I didn't even notice I was still paying for them. Monarch lets me take control of my finances, and it saves me time, so if you want to try it out for yourself and take control of your own finances, click the link in the description below and start with a free trial and 50% off your first year. And thank you to Monarch Money for sponsoring this video. All right, first, to determine if the MacBook Neo is still a good value, you have to kind of determine what type of customer you are. And the Neo can really be judged on not the product itself, but the alternative products you could buy. From the perspective of buying another Mac, even with the price increases, there is still no better valued MacBook on the market. That's because Apple raised the prices on every single Mac they sell, not just the Neo. So while the Neo did get $100 more expensive, products like the MacBook Air got $200 more expensive, and the MacBook Pro got $300 more expensive. And it's kind of strange to say this, do not take these words out of context, but the Neo is actually a better value now than it was before, because the price gap between the Air and the Neo has only gotten larger. Then there's products like the iPad Air, which used to have the same exact starting price as the Neo, but actually got a bigger price increase. So it's now $150 expensive, more than it used to be. So $50 more than the Neo, and it actually has less storage on it. How did they make these prices up? Now, your only option besides a Mac is to go outside of the Apple market, where, of course, you can still find Windows laptops or Chromebooks below the price point of the Neo, just like you could before. But like I said in my original review video, if you want a Mac, a Windows laptop is going to be a poor substitute for this, even if you can find better specs at a better price point. Because a Windows laptop runs Windows. It is a totally different operating system, a totally different experience. And for the most part, even with better specs, that experience will probably not be as optimized as it is on Mac OS. Furthermore, when it comes to build quality, you are not going to find a better laptop in this price range. Even if you went to go spend more money on a Windows laptop, the MacBook Neo, it's probably gonna have a better build quality. It has a premium metal build, where a lot of Windows laptops are cheap, creaky plastic. Like, the biggest strength that the Neo has is that it feels and looks just as premium as any of Apple's other laptops. And even with that $100 price increase, overall, the Neo still remains pretty competitive in other areas. It has decent performance with the A18 Pro chip. It's great for everyday tasks, and you can even do a little bit more than you would expect with this machine. If you want to do power-intensive tasks, if you want to edit some video for social media, you can do that on the Neo. The display for the price, it's actually better than a lot of Windows laptops, especially when it comes to resolution and brightness. And the side-firing speakers, although they're not as good as the higher-end MacBooks, they are still a lot better than what you can get on bargain bin Windows laptops. The trackpad is miles above Windows laptops. It's smooth and responsive, and although the keyboard doesn't have a backlight on it, it feels great to type on with its stability and travel, and it comes with decent battery life, it's lightweight, and yes, it runs Mac OS. And even with the $100 price increase, it is still a very low-cost laptop in the history of Mac laptops. Like, this would still be considered the lowest price Mac laptop ever released if we didn't have that $600 variant of the Neo a few months ago. Not even a few months ago, it was days ago. It's all changing so fast. Still, with that being said, even with all that logic, let me speak emotionally. Let me speak plainly. Psychologically, it sucks to have to pay more money on a product that was literally cheaper a few days before. So right now, you're probably wondering, do I really want to buy a Neo at a higher price point? Shouldn't I just wait for Apple to lower the prices in the future? Surely this memory and storage crisis has to end sometime. And even Apple said in their press release that we know this is not welcome news and we are working tirelessly to find solutions. And while, yes, that does sound hopeful that Apple will find a way to decrease prices sooner rather than later, it is also not the most realistic solution or output that we have right now. Because most suppliers and analysts say that this storage and memory shortage will last at least another year, with the earliest that we may see some relief as more manufacturing facilities come online to meet demand. Well, that won't happen until 2028. And prices are still not expected to go fully back to normal until, again, that supply balances out, and they are expecting that to take until 2030. That is 4 years of price uncertainty. So let's say you're a student about to begin college, or you're about to start a job or pursue a creative passion and you need a laptop now. Well, you can't wait 4 years for these problems to resolve themselves. I mean, you probably would have graduated by then unless you got held back. You know, it's not your fault, but yeah, it's still not an ideal solution. You're going to need a laptop before then. So unfortunately, you should not wait for this problem to end anytime soon. Unless, of course, you already have a computer that runs fine, then yes, do not rush to upgrade until you absolutely need to. However, I refuse to accept defeat. General Greg is going to lead you to a lower price MacBook because I am determined to help you guys out with your purchasing decisions, and I want you all to buy these products at the lowest price point possible. So, how can we get those older prices back? You are not entirely powerless in this situation, at least for now. My top recommendation is, if you are a student, there's a lot of people who are going to be buying a MacBook Neo because it's the summer, right? Back to school's here. Take advantage of Apple's student discount. You can go to the education website and you can still get the Neo at the old $600 consumer level price point. I know it's not the $500 education version you could get a few days ago, but it is still a really good deal at this price point, and consider yourself lucky that you aren't one of the normal folk, right? Like, you still have a really good deal there. If you aren't a student, maybe we can make like a fake college and get credentials, and then we can get everyone the education price discount. No. Let's try some legal ways to do this. You could check out Apple's refurbished site. They just started adding refurbished Neos to purchase, and currently you can get the 512 gigabyte config for the old price point with an additional $20 off. That's actually a really good deal. And don't stop at the Neo. If you need a more powerful Mac like the MacBook Air or the MacBook Pro, those MacBooks saw even bigger price increases than the Neo, like I said before. So my first stop would be, again, check out Apple's refurbished site, where you can get a lot of these laptops at their older price points. The bad thing about refurbished is the stock's limited. They're not always gonna be there. So sometimes you go to check for the Mac you want and it's not there. So my last bit of buying advice would also be to check third-party sites frequently. Right now, sites like Amazon are kind of cleared out because a bunch of people rush to buy Macs at the older price points, but for higher configs like the MacBook Pro, you can still find them for $150 off right now. And I'm sure in the coming weeks, as they get more supply, you'll find occasional sales where you can find these products discounted. I'm not sure how much the Neo will be discounted for, but for products like the MacBook Air and the MacBook Pro, you can usually find them like $100 to even $200 off. So constantly check third-party sites like Amazon, Best Buy, Costco. You should still see sales on these Macs from time to time, whereas at the Apple Store, that is never going to happen. You are always going to pay full price at the Apple Store. Basically, we're not powerless. We still have some options to try and help lower the price point. But this is also our new reality, right? Do not expect prices to suddenly get lower or return to their old price points overnight, because this isn't something that is just affecting Apple. It is affecting the entire PC industry, the console industry, or anything that uses memory or storage. And there's also no guarantee that prices will come down in a few years, and there's no guarantee that these prices will even stay stable. There's also the possibility that prices will continue to increase in the future, because I know a lot of you are thinking about waiting for the MacBook Neo too. But one of the rumors for that device, even though it's still several months to maybe even a year away, is that it will come with an A19 Pro chip. Now, usually that would be good, right? The A19 Pro is gonna have 12 gigabytes of memory instead of 8. The biggest weakness in the Neo right now is it's limited 8 gigabytes of memory. So normally I would say, yeah, wait, that's great news. But because it's getting more memory, and memory is the main thing that is driving up prices right now, when the Neo 2 is released, you could see Apple potentially raising the price point on the Neo even higher than it is now. So if you want the lowest price points, even waiting may not be the best choice in this scenario. But yes, for now, the MacBook Neo, even though it got a price increase, which is unfortunate, it is still worth it. And so are Apple's other laptops in that regard, even if they are more money. And quite frankly, they could end up looking like good deals down the road if they don't figure out this storage and memory crisis and it continues to get worse, which I do not want. I do not want that. Let's hope that doesn't happen. But hopefully, I helped you out in this video. If I did, please leave me a like. If you want to see more, get subscribed as we navigate the horrors of the AI boom together. We're gonna make it through this. All of us, we're all gonna make it through it. Don't worry. Don't worry. Don't panic. Panic a little bit, but just a little bit.